first Jesuit church to be built in the Philippines. Destroyed during the Battle of Manila in 1945, it had a significant influence on the lives of Filipinos for more than 300 years. Welcome back to the 2006 Whirlpool Championships here in the Philippines, and what a match we have for you in prospect. The number 2 seed, Efren Reyes, up against Radoslaw Babica of Poland. And speaking of Efren Reyes, we have our Anthony Santay standing with the man himself. Anthony, it's to you.
Thanks a lot, Uday. Efren, you openly admitted to me yesterday before your match that you were a bit nervous, and it showed in your match. Now with your back literally against the wall, how do you feel?
Siyempre kahit hanggang ngayon, kapag nga, lakas na nga nervous yun. Siyempre yung pagkatalo ko ngayon, nasa isipan ko pa ngayon yung mga nangyari kagabi. Pati yung hindi ko akalain na sumublay ako doon sa nebe. Hindi ko akalain dahil sa pagmamadali reckless kasi kaya hindi ko na masyadong pinasisyon ng katawan ko. Siyempre hanggang ngayon na maabot pa rin yun, yung mga nervous nito. Pero mo, nauna na ako. Kung ako nakauna kahapon, siguro pwede na kahit yung nervous yun, kaya ko nandalin yun. Siyempre hanggang ngayon, hindi pa mawawala yun.
Well, what Efren's telling me, the fact that he was nervous yesterday, now obviously it's magnified by a whole lot because he won that match yesterday. He would have wanted to win that match yesterday in order for him to have less pressure, but today, obviously with his back against the wall, he's feeling even more pressure. We'll see what happens. Uday?
Great stuff, Anthony. Okay, without much further ado, let's take you to the match itself and with your match commentator, John McDonnell.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the action here at the 2006 Philippines Whirlpool Championships. We're in the delightful city of Manila. Live here on ESPN with a race to 8 alternate breaks. Referee in charge of the action is Michaela Tab. It's time to meet the players. Ladies and gentlemen, from Angeles City, where the legend was born, would you please welcome the magician, Efren Reyes! And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from Poland, it's Poland's number 1, Radoslaw Babica.
Well, all the fuss has been made of about Efren Reyes, and quite rightly so in this Group 2 match. He's lost his first match against Tony Crosby with that shocking miss on the 9 in the last rack. And worth making the point, though, that his opponent, Radoslaw Babica, had a nightmare start. He went down 8-1 to his opponent from Indonesia. That was a major surprise, that. So both these fellas on the brink, and I'm joined by a fellow that's just climbed back from the brink, I suppose we could say him anyway. Steve Davis is here, and Steve, you're known as a master of snooker. You're looking at the master of the game you're trying to master at the moment.
Yes, Efren Reyes is not just a master on the table, he's a magician. Obviously, you know, to some degree this is the first time that this particular event has been held in the Philippines. I think perhaps, you know, he wants to get off to a good start, and it didn't go right for him yesterday. But I expect to see a different player today. First match can easily go wrong. It's so easy to lose in alternate breaks.
Well, a pretty good lag from both men. As we've already seen in this year's tournament, winning the lag is a very useful situation. But there's Roya Pancho from Indonesia that's really put the fly among the become the fly in the ointment there with that big win, 8-1 over Babica. So the loser of this one is effectively packing his bags and heading for home. So high stakes indeed. And Reyes, as he did against Tony Crosby, has lost the lag. That proved to be decisive for him yesterday. Or has he lost the lag? Well, Michaela Tab is actually measuring. It is that close.
Two chalks.
Yes, he does.
2 chalks and a fingernail against 2 chalks and a gnats. Been around for a few years, Radoslaw, the best prospect out of Poland. Hasn't come through that much.
First rack, Radoslaw Babica, so typical.
Occasionally prone to the odd mistake, but then we all are. But he's got experience on the world circuit.
He certainly has. He's been around the block in the World Pool Championship, hasn't he? Reached the last 32 as long ago as 2000, but hasn't progressed past the group stages in the last 3 years. And if he wants to put that right, he's going to have to progress against Efren Reyes right now.
Very good break. I might ask him how he does that afterwards. If I could break like that, I'd be more in business than I am. I don't know if he played it that way. Hopefully we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. The cut break, as it's called, sending the cue ball to the side rail rather than trying to plant it in the middle. But there was some spin on that shot, so he may have got some unwanted side, but the outcome's good. Gap between the 3 and the 8 for the blue 2.
I'm not sure if the city of Manila has quite recovered from what it saw yesterday. Efren Reyes lining up a routine 9 to win the match, to come back from the dead, and left it on the table, and you could hear the gasps of disbelief all around this auditorium.
Well, it happens to the best of us. It's not the first time a 9 ball's been missed in a critical situation. It won't be the last, but it would be sad for the event if Reyes went out in the group phase.
That would be for the 2nd year running as well. He disappointed in Kaohsiung, and that's before he had that corrective surgery on his eyes. He's been in great form ever since. And Babica has done himself a world of good with that shot.
Yes, excellent shot.
Yes.
Has had a few scalps over the years in tournaments. I seem to see his name crop up occasionally. I don't follow the pool circuit as much as the snooker circuit, obviously. But this would be a massive scalp for Babica. A little bit shy of pace there on the 6. Means it's a bit more difficult to control the path and the weight of the cue ball.
Yes, he's made it harder for himself than he needed to.
Don't think he can stop the cue ball short of the brown 7. He may have to go past it, or certainly to the side rail, the opposite side. Perhaps play the brown 7 into the middle pocket. Just depends how softly he wants to hit this. Doesn't want to be on the bottom rail here. This makes the shot a lot more difficult. And that weak positional shot before has led to a little bit further out of position now, compounding the error.
Isn't it amazing, Steve, in this game, as Reyes waits for what he hopes will be his chance, that you make one little mistake, it's amazing how quickly that can snowball.
Yes, when people watch pool, sometimes they think, well, it's, you know, the pockets are very easy, the game's easy, but at this top-class level, when you must clear up, otherwise you're considered a failure, you're trying so hard to keep position. One small problem leads to a bigger one, though. This has got to be made in the middle. On the corner. Wow. That's a little bit more dangerous, but a great shot.
Oh, he's nailed it. He's nailed it. And I was with you there, Steve. I thought middle pocket all the way, but Babica saw it his way.
I think it's probably the right shot. It just sometimes on the television monitors it looks a different angle. Well, he's done nothing wrong in this rack, really. Quality cueing wise, anyway. The balls have got in the middle of the pocket, and it's one rack to Babica.
And the 9 just to make sure. Well, it all came from the break, and he really ripped the rack. Had a couple of little positional wobbles, but his potting was spot on. And that long one down into the bottom left-hand pocket, really the pick of his shots. This is the one that won it for him. Fraught with danger, but rolled in without even touching the sides. Well, Group 2 looks like this going into this group round of matches. Roya Pancho of Indonesia really upset the apple cart with that big win over Radoslaw Babica, and then Crosby 8-7 over Reyes. So that means that the two fellas we're seeing now, having had one defeat to open up with, are pretty much fighting for their lives here. You can go through with 1 win and 2 losses, but you're asking for an awful lot of things to happen for you to get away with that. So both these fellows walked into this afternoon's match knowing victory was absolutely essential. It looks like Reyes is the man that's put himself in position to claim that win. But as we've seen in other matches, you never quite relax until that last 9 ball goes down, and he's certainly not relaxed here.
Well, he's not a happy bunny as far as the outcome of the cue ball and the 1 ball. It's a bit of a stretch for any player.
With that brown tucked in there as well.
Left-handed. Oh, awful. Well, the rest, or whatever it is that is now being brought out of the table, has a variety of different grooves in it, and this is the groove of choice. Tough shot. Bigger balls than snooker balls. You've got to jack up even higher. He'll be happy with that.
Yeah, he's in the groove. No
position as far as making the 2, but there are combination possibilities. Soft 2 to 8. Just making sure that 2 stays over the pocket. That's probably what he's going to do. Oh, has it gone to the point? Has he got enough? That's a great shot. He's got enough on the 2. Marvellous.
Couldn't have played it much better, could he?
Well,
and now the rack is starting to look very simple. Sorry to interrupt you there, Steve.
That was not anything particularly exciting anyway. Don't worry about that. Oh, that was an excellent shot. That really was a good shot. Taking his time, not rushing this clearance. It's a very important stage of the match. And even though under any type of normal circumstances this would be a formality, he's just going to try and get it set in his brain, the route around the table for these 6 balls.
Well, he really is taking his time, and rightly so. You can't afford any more slips at this point of the match. And it's Radoslaw Babica now that's staring bleakly into the abyss, knowing that his World Championship match might be going up in smoke here. Well, that's not a happy place to be.
It isn't, especially as there's no prize money for last in your group, as far as I'm aware.
No, you get, I think it's $1,000 for coming 3rd, and you get absolutely nothing for turning up.
Just get a round of applause, that's about it, I think, as you leave the building.
What would you take, a round of applause or $1,000? Well, I suppose you've got so much money, Steve, you'll take the applause.
I'll have to think about that. The critical time of the match, Reyes comes good.
And this fella can only sit and watch. Reyes takes 1 step nearer his first win at the World Pool Championship. He is on the hill. Babica breaks next just to stay alive. Reyes nearly there. This fella nearly on the way back to the airport.
Of course, even if Reyes were to win his last match, and let's say he won this match and then won his last match, it wouldn't be certain that he'd qualify either, because there would be the possibilities of 3 players all on winning 2 wins. So it could even come down to rack difference here. So how tough are these matches, these league groups to get through?
Which is why Reyes will be so pleased to have at least gone 8-7 against Tony Crosby, because that would stack the tiebreaker in his favour, and it would also mean he'd want to get rid of this fella as quickly as possible, and he nearly scratched, and that really would have been lights out for Babica.
Well, he's got to be happy with the way these have split. Oh, he was that close to losing. Does break well though. I know he lost the white ball a bit there, but it's a pretty effective break. There is really no problems in this break apart from getting good position on the 5-7 combination. So that getting the right angle on the 4 to get on the 5 is the problem. But it shouldn't be too much of a problem. That was a bit more difficult than I thought as well. I didn't think it was that far off. I thought it was straighter than that. So once again, I'm claiming camera angle.
They are deceptive, aren't they, these camera angles? As we've seen before, though, the only angle that counts is that look straight down the cue. Every angle that the TV cameras offer, they can be deceptive. Like that one on the rail that Reyes made look so easy, that we both thought was absolutely impossible.
So now a headache in as much as keeping position on the 4 ball. He can cut this red 3 into the left-hand pocket, knowing if he missed, obviously he would probably snooker Reyes, but he's got to retain position on the 4. Doesn't want to sacrifice the table over to Reyes again. So a bit of a problem here. He hasn't quite worked out how he's going to play this shot. He's changed his mind now. He's playing a safety, I think.
Well, he did miss, and he's got the snooker.
I think the right shot there to play the safety. He could have panicked, potted the 3, lost position on the 4, would have had to have played safe anyway, and it wouldn't have been as easy a safety shot as the one he's just played. So good percentage choice there from Radoslaw Babica, fighting for his continuation in this World Pool Championship for the first time in Manila in its current format. I don't know the history of pool going back over the years, of where the World Pool Championship has been before the likes of Matchroom Sport took over the running of it.
It wouldn't be a surprise if it's been here. It is a pool-mad country, isn't it? They are very passionate about it. Yeah.
Everybody knows the pool players. Everybody. Well, most people.
Any time you're #1 on the sports pages, you know it's big time.
Brilliant escape from Reyes. Okay, you can't always guarantee that you're going to snooker your opponent, but Reyes made sure that he left the ball safe. And once again, it's not easy to see, but I think that's probably a 4-ball snooker, or as good as. And if it is, he's staring a loss in the face. If he can't clip this 3-ball and get it safe, he could be one shot away from oblivion. Is he jumping? Is he swerving? I think he's swerving fractionally. Tough shot to control. He's got to get down the table behind those 3 balls. Oh, he had to go for rail. And here's the chance.
Yeah, and I think these fans...
The crowd clapping, not the escape, clapping the positional play that they see has opened up for Reyes, and now this is a chance you would expect him to grasp with both hands.
And a noticeable buzz of expectation around this table. This could be the moment Efren Reyes finally gets his World Pool Championship challenge together.
Babica knows it. But still the problem, getting perfect position. And Reyes is summing up every angle there to see what is the best way. I think that last one he looked at was quite nice. If he keeps to the left-hand rail, he can make the 7 and use the 6 to break the path of the cue ball. So he's coming quite a way over. That's exactly where he wanted it. That is absolutely perfect. I know it seems a little bit out. Okay, right, a ball out, you know. But now in playing this, bit of stun on the cue ball. He's going to line up lovely on the 5. All right, he's not happy with it, so I'm talking rubbish. I thought it was okay.
He'll probably make it look okay, knowing him. Oh, that's why he. But he's.
Oh no! I don't believe he missed it. I thought that was I thought it was a given shot anyway. I really didn't think it was that much of a problem. I know these are slightly tighter pockets than we've had in previous years, but I still thought it was on. Wow.
Well, this is extraordinary, and this is why he was so grumpy about it. And he almost fluked it. But look at that. 2 pockets that wouldn't claim a ball, and Babica thrown a lifeline.
Well, he's just got to cut the 5 thin and knock the 7 in. I don't really. It's a very thin cut, but he's got to play it that way. I really don't think the cannon is the right shot. Well, I don't like this, but anyway, go for it. This could go wrong. The other way you can't go. The other way you can't fail. This can go wrong.
Well, if it does go wrong, it's the end of the match.
This has an element of danger. The other way, I can't believe he can't cut this 5 onto the 7. It's thin, but it's not that thin.
Well, he's got away with it.
But it can go wrong if he can't pop the 5 in the corner. You know, okay, yeah, he's on it, but it's probably not as easy as it looks on our television screens.
No,
it's a thin cut.
You wouldn't want to be taking this one on with your hopes hanging by a very thin thread.
Probably not as thin as the 5 to the 7, the shot that perhaps he should have played, but.
Almost grudging applause there, because these fans were getting ready to raise the roof, weren't they? And they've been denied, or at least a stay of execution for this man.
Another shock for Reyes, looking like he was home and dry once again.
And coming into this tournament, he was such an overwhelming favourite. Oh, this isn't the easiest 9-ball that you've ever seen.
Reyes to break.
It is Reyes to break, assuming this 9 goes down. Which it does. He's still hanging on somehow, but I'm sure he was resigned to packing his bags there, Radoslaw Babica. Instead, Reyes wasn't able to seal the deal. Do we go to another hill-hill match for the magician, or will Efren Reyes finally get to 8 when he comes up to break in just a moment? And everything this, including that one, the 7 that wouldn't go. Nobody could believe it. But he still has his destiny in his hands here. One good break.
14, Efren Reyes to break, leading by 7 racks to 6.
One good clean-up, and it'll all be over. Sounds so easy, doesn't it? But very rarely does a rack of 9-ball go like that.
Oh, marvellous. He gave those a great whack. Technical term.
And he's got a good look at the blue too as well. Not much he'd complain about with that rack.
No, he can't complain, although It's got to be made, this blue 2. It is missable.
Oh,
A tremendous amount of body movement on the shot there. He was up and away from the shot before he'd even played it. That was, well, tension. You see that again? He's moving up on the shot as he plays it. That makes it a lot harder to play the game.
there's a lot of pool left in this match, but if that mistake lets Babica in to clean up, it's the pole who breaks for the match next. That's how expensive that miss could be.
I'd like to predict that won't be the last miss of the match.
No.
See how accurate I am.
I'm not putting any money down against you, Steve. This one is fraught with nerviness, if there's such a word.
Oh, it's got to be now. There must be. Well, it's fascinating. It was a fascinating match. Efren's last match. Unfortunately, when the greats fail, it becomes fascinating.
Even when they struggle, as he has here. And the real worry for the Efren Reyes watchers, he struggled against Tony Crosby because for most of that match, Tony was in great form, made all his shots. This fella hasn't been making all his shots.
No, it's a nail biter. That's a very good shot, and that has opened the path up nicely. Excellent. The best shots that Babica's played. It really has made this a lot easier, and Reyes is just, I just can't believe it. I think he's laughing at the situation that's occurred. You know, he's just not been able to get a grasp on his first match. He should have put this one away, and all of a sudden he's leaving it so late that trusting to luck. Surely Reyes won't go out. Okay, there's some other great Filipinos in the tournament, but this guy's the hero.
Well, there are still all kinds of scenarios to open up here in Group 2, but let's just say for the sake of argument that Reyes did lose here. Obviously his destiny is out of his hands, but he could still get through. He would have to hope that Tony Crosby wins out in his 2 remaining matches, and then Reyes would have to win his last match.
By a massive scoreline to overcome the Indonesian, who had a very easy win over Babica.
Yeah. It's well out of his control if he loses here.
Babica's effectively 12 balls away from victory.
And he's been breaking so well, Steve.
Always a bit shy of pace. Oh. He would be better off being harder than softer. We saw him miss a shot with right-hand spin before. This is exactly the same shot. Reyes can't watch. Babica's got to play this with right-hand spin to avoid scratching in the middle pocket. He overcut it last time. Severe pressure. Doesn't look missable. Plays it much better this time. That was an excellent shot. Perhaps it didn't need as much side spin as the last one. Reyes has to pray for a bad break now.
And we're involved in another heel-heel match involving Efren Reyes. And just like against Tony Crosby, Reyes will sit in his chair while the other guy breaks. It's out of his hands now. 7 apiece, and Radoslaw Babica up next. That's the miss that let the opponent in. And the pole, under great pressure, looked pretty composed in cleaning up. Well, that's one of those uncharacteristic Reyes misses that we saw there. And to follow up with that, it's just not the magician that we know. Even if he wins here, the question has to be asked, what is wrong with this man's game by his standards?
Well, obviously on that blue 2 we saw too much body movement. The idea of the game is to keep most of your body as still as possible and just let your right arm do the work. Here's the break. Oh, so important. Nice and brilliant one.
Oh, look at this, look at this. Hang on, no.
Oh, but you can't believe it, can you?
No. Thank you.
You just can't believe it.
Just when you thought he'd got it all nicely lined up. Cue ball, 1 ball and 8 ball lined up in a way that will just break your heart. Look at that little kick.
No.
Well,
thank you.
That is the lifeline that Efren Reyes needed.
well, it looks like a pretty simple safety, sending the 1 ball up and down the table in a straight line, trying to plant it in the middle where that chalk is, or as close as possible, and then snooker behind the 9 and the 8. That would seem to be a pretty elementary shot. It's a bit shy of pace, I think. Oh, he might just have got there. No, it's not a snooker. It's a very risky pot. If he can get past to the outside edge, the left-hand edge, it's still a risky pot to take on. What does he do? The slow safety to the side cushion just before the middle pocket.
Well, they always say, don't they, Steve, in this game, the great players are the guys that go out and win the match. You don't win a match by playing safe, but surely here, Hill, caution has got to be the #1 factor.
Well, firstly, we don't know whether he can actually clip the left-hand edge. I don't think he can, but there is the possibility of the long bank just going past the 6, but it's so risky.
And with no safety net, why would you take that risk?
Well, there may be a slight element of safety. Oh, that's a great shot. That is a great shot. What a shot. What a shot. He had the safety element with the 8 ball. There was an element of it. What a great strike. That was never anywhere else. He's got to convert this now.
He will, surely. It's flashes of brilliance like that that just remind you of why this man is the great exponent of this craft.
One thing he's got to do, he's got to keep his body still on the shot. He's got to keep down on the shot. As long as they're elementary straight in, I think he'll be okay on that, but keep that body movement down. Okay, fair enough. Well, it's been a marvellous effort from Babica to get back in this match. Don't take anything away from him. But I think Reyes is over the line.
Well, we thought that against Tony Crosby, didn't we? He had the 9 ball in the last rack. Surely that particular lightning's not going to strike twice.
Caraman lost it for a fraction there, but he's back.
And Reyes looks like he's back as well. But only just. Well, they'll go nuts in just a moment. All that pent-up energy about to be released. That was hard work. But the magician, the #2 seed here, Efren Reyes, having been on the wrong end of a Hill match yesterday against Tony Crosby, finally gets it right against Radoslaw Babica. It was nervy stuff. Reyes on the brink of elimination has hung on. 8-7. And is there still time for this man to get his game together and to mount a serious challenge at this year's World Pool Championship? It's not the magician that we know and love, but it's been good enough to get past Radoslaw Babica and to keep himself alive in what's proving a very interesting Group 2. Roy Apancho and Tony Crosby will meet later. The winner of that match will take control of the group, but Reyes definitely now in the mix. So, nail-biting stuff here on table #1. Let's go into the studio and catch up with Uday.
Thanks, Nick. So the magician pulling one out of the hat. Reyes making life for himself harder than it needed to be. Here's our Anthony Suntai right now with the man himself, Reyes.
Well, Efren, talk to us about that particular match. You were talking to me about it off the air before we went on camera about how difficult this match was for you.
Alam mo ito, malaking bagay itong game ko nito sa ngayon kasi kailangan ko may panalo itong dalawang laban ko para ko sakal makapasok ko. Pero kahit na naipanalo ko itong game nito, siguro hindi pa rin sigurado kahit manalo ko bukas dahil para-pareho kami ito medyo delikado ko. Dapat tinalo ko na siya doon sa 8-5 yung pwede na siguro yun. At saka itong laban na ito, alam mo, benasan talaga itong 9-ball na ito eh. Kamukha ng break din niya. Mas maganda ang dating ng bola sa kanya pagka-break niya. Dalawa na hulog, tatlo, bibigay ang ano. Buti itong huli, walang may pumasok sa kanya. Basta itong huli lang na benasan ko ng laban sa kanya sa loob ng mga ilang game na to.
Well, what Efren's talking about is the fact that he feels very fortunate to have been able to win here in this match, though he wanted to win it by a much bigger margin because he feels that 3 guys might finish with a 2-1 record. So if he beat him by 8-5, he would have been much more comfortable. So the pressure is still on Efren. Uday?
Thank you, Anthony. But you could see there the relief on Efren Reyes' face, and Filipino pool fan, take a deep breath, your man is still in it. Okay, this is the order of play so far on day 2. On table 1, you had session 1, Steve Davis winning 8-6 over the Vietnamese there. And then Efren Reyes, another close one against Radoslaw Babica. And we have another good match to keep the locals here happy. Coming up after the break, we have Chow Fong Pang of Chinese Taipei taking on Roman Hubler.